Hey guys, Metal Jesus here, and I am back again with Drunken Master Paul.
Hanging with you once again in the Metal Jesus Man Cave.
Yes, and you recently found some very cool archives.
I did. I was going through my computer and I found some old recordings of interviews I did with a thing called World Strain, which was Ken Williams' first internet radio.
Ken Williams of Sierra.
Of Sierra, of course.
Yes.
And me and my friend Robert, we did a bunch of interviews with a bunch of people in the gaming industry, and I dug these up, and they're pretty awesome. They're like little time capsules of PC gaming.
Oh yeah, so this one we're going to show you here, or let you listen to, is an interview with Bill Roper, who is the senior producer.
Or Diablo 2.
Diablo 2. Now, this is a very fascinating interview because it's at a time whenever they are talking about what they learned about Diablo 1.
Right, there's a lot of talk about Diablo, and then he's promoting Diablo 2 and talking about, as you said, what they've learned and what the players thought.
Yeah.
And
dealing with hackers and Battlenet and all this stuff.
Absolutely, and things that they were just, learning. I don't even think it was in beta yet.
It wasn't. You ask him about it in this. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing is you get to hear me from 30 years ago.
And also, too, this technology that they were doing at the time was pretty, advanced.
It was bleeding edge. I mean, this was before podcasts were even big. So what Ken Williams was doing was, it was internet radio, which meant that we actually had studios and we had a show every week.
Right.
Not only that, but you would open this app in your browser. And it wasn't even an app then. It was a web page.
Right.
They didn't even call it apps. And it had a live chat room, and we could stream pictures and video, and you had the audio at the same time, which is a lot to ask with a 28.8 modem, because not everybody had broadband back then.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring that up is because the audio in this is going to be, you're going to notice that it's of a lower quality, but trust me, at about a minute or so into it, you're not even going to care because it's so fascinating. Also, I want to mention here, too, one of the things you guys did is you took live internet calls.
Yes, we did.
From fans. And these fans know Diablo. It's hilarious to hear them talking about the nuances of, the classes of Diablo. It's just an amazing time capsule. So, we want you to grab a beer, sit down. This is the entire interview. We want you to enjoy it. And let us know down in the comments if you like this, because you've got a bunch more. I think I have about 24 or 25 of these interviews, and they go all over the place. Yeah, we were just talking about, he interviews the developers from Valve when they were working on Half-Life 1.
Yes.
And Team Fortress and Counter-Strike and all that stuff. It's fascinating. So
Crazy stuff.
All right, take a look.
All right, well, today's a very big show, and one that we've been excited about for a while, because we have a very special guest. We're talking about Diablo 2 with Bill Roper, who is the senior director over at Blizzard. Hey, Bill.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Going well. Hey, welcome to our show. Actually, this is a special show because this is our one-year anniversary.
Oh, well, happy anniversary.
Thank you. The Game Dive started as a different show about a year ago, actually on Halloween last year, as the Windows 98 show. I'm sure you're honored by being here for us, Bill.
I am. I can't even begin to express the amount of love that I have that you've brought me on your show today.
You just can't even put it into words.
I can't. That's probably a good thing.
You can always send cash, though.
Okay, well, or Poo-Poo Run.
Poo-Poo Run, yeah, we got some. They're pretty tasty, but the Horlicks are god-awful. The Poo-Poo Runs are these really jelly things that look like a prank Halloween thing you can throw against a window. And I wonder if it'll work. Let me see if it'll work on the back window here. Oh, it didn't stick quite long enough to roll down.
No, you're going to clean that up after the show, by the way.
Yeah, you think so. Anyway, welcome to the show, Bill.
Thank you.
You have actually quite the following here. We've got just tons of people in the chat room. It's almost as if you sold a couple of games at some point.
Yeah, well, I think that fortunately our reputation may have preceded us in this event.
Oh, yeah, Blizzard. Now, is this coming out of Blizzard or Blizzard North?
Well, Blizzard North is a developer. Of course, everything, comes out of Blizzard, but the great, fantastic team that did the original Diablo has been working hard and slaving away on Diablo 2. And it's getting pretty amazing. There's a pretty immense amount of content in the game that I think are going to get people really excited.
Very cool. Now, you just have those. What is Blizzard North then? It's just the dev team, or because Blizzard North came out as completely two different entities, or?
Well, Blizzard North actually originally, when we started working on Diablo, was a third-party development team, which meant that they weren't part of the family, and they were a company called Condor that we actually met while they were working on the Genesis version of a game, and we were working on the Super Nintendo version down here back in our back in our console days. And so we kind of hooked up and thrown some ideas around on that, liked working with each other. They came and pitched us a product idea, which was Diablo. We said it sounded good, let's see what happens. And about halfway through the development of the project, we all sat down and talked and realized we really liked working with each other and had the same ideas on game design and concepts and theories. And so we went ahead and acquired them. And they became Blizzard North, since they're in Northern California, and we're in Southern California.
Oh.
And, since then they've had a really good amount of growth in their company and have worked very hard to, build up the Diablo game and community and brand to what it is today.
Very spiffy. Now, I just was under the impression it was like the north wing of the building, and they got that part. And
well, they're not within walking distance, Paul.
No. Not at all.
That's true. We got to take a plane right up there.
So, let's get to it. Tell us about Diablo 2. Now, Diablo came out, how many years? Almost 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Diablo came out right at the very, very, very end of 96.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, early part of 97. And it pretty much, I think the biggest thing about it is that it also introduced Battlenet at the same time.
Right.
Which, of course, is Blizzard's online gaming service. And I really think that those two entities, Diablo and Battlenet, really help each other out a lot. I think that it helped Battlenet become a success, and Battlenet helped, get Diablo in front of a lot of people. And it's been a real exciting thing to see happen. And in regards to Diablo 2, we're just doing a lot more with the way that it interacts with Battlenet. What Battlenet will have to offer players who hook up and play Diablo 2 in that multiplayer setting. And it's a huge, huge amount of work, but I think when we were able to pull it all off, people are going to be blown away.
Very spiffy. Now, Diablo left us. Now, I haven't played Diablo too many times. I haven't gotten through as a wizard yet or as a sorcerer.
Mm-hmm.
Got through a couple of times as a female character in the warrior. And always at the end, you finally kill him, and then you do the damnedest thing. You shove a crystal into your forehead, which I was going, what? What did I do that for? And then you're left there.
Yeah, the idea behind that, which I think unfortunately may not have been as clear as it could have been, is that, and if you're a real devout storyline follower and you've scoured through the manual and read every little book you can find in the game and stuff like that, is basically that at the end of the game, though you've defeated Diablo, the soul stone that traps his essence and keeps him from unleashing his evil powers upon the world has been shattered. So to help contain his essence, you actually put the soul stone into yourself. And then you're using your powers, as well as the powers of the soul stone, to contain Diablo. Now, in Diablo 2, that's right where we pick up the storyline. And basically, as formidable as your original hero may have been, he's now having to fight this very difficult internal battle with himself in containing Diablo. So we kind of follow this character that we call the Wanderer across the world of Diablo 2, and you're really never sure whether it's the champion of that first game using Diablo and his knowledge to hunt down and eradicate his brothers, Mephisto and Baal, or whether it's Diablo using this vessel to go and free his brothers. So you kind of have to, as you go along, you're finding out how that storyline is unfolding as well.
And you're not going to tell us which one it is, are you?
Nope.
There's a lot more emphasis on storyline this time than there was the first time around. Did you go out and hire a writer for this one?
No, actually, I just think what it was in the first game, but a lot of it, was in the manual, and a lot of it got cut because we had all these other little storyline elements in other quests, and the game was something that was just, so new, and we were doing so much new stuff that I think that in some of the things that got cut, there was an awful lot of that storyline that got left out. So I think it's always been there. We just didn't do a really good job presenting it, and I really don't think that we've done a really good job as a company on presenting the storyline as strongly as possible through the game until we really hit Starcraft and Brood War, which I thought both of those did a very good job of giving you a sense of the world as you played. And we're using that knowledge to actually do that in Diablo 2. So I think what you'll see is that world's kind of been there the whole time, but now we finally have matured enough as a company, as storytellers, to actually present that to the gamers.
And of course, Starcraft was the best-selling game last year of all the PC games. Do you project Diablo 2 is going to hit those same kind of numbers or more? Or
I'm never one to predict sales numbers because I'm really bad at it. But I think that I certainly hope it'll do well. I think it's very difficult to sit here and say, oh, well, of course it will sell and be this huge monster hit. But I think that what we're really more focused on is just providing that same level of excitement and fun and the best game possible. I think that I certainly hope we'll do well. I think it's very difficult to sit here and say, oh.
That's cool. We're getting that repeat bleed in here from your system. Are you in the show right now? Are you listening to the show as well?
I don't have my volume on, and maybe that's somehow, maybe Diablo's making it come through the phone line or something. Maybe it's sure. That was very strange. But
don't make me destroy you.
So, that was weird, because usually, people listening, there's about a 7, 8, 9 second delay, depending on where you are, from what we say when it comes out of your speakers. Not because we're regulated by the FCC or anything, but just welcome to the internet. So
right, yeah, I'm definitely in the chat room right now.
Yeah.
But I have diligently turned my radio down, as they say,
yes,
in the broadcast industry. So I think that was some kind of underworldly interference there.
Well, considering what happened last week in the studios when we weren't here, God knows what's going to happen next. The whole place got haunted and things were running around and websites went nuts, and we don't really know if that's really Dan in the booth or maybe Diablo is taking over him as a vessel for...
Yeah, we are still, pretty close to the Hallows Eve, and so it's, who knows, maybe a little residual in the air there.
Yeah, we didn't sponge off quite as well as we might have. Well, back to Diablo 2, the emphasis, or not really the emphasis, but there's more emphasis on the story.
Yes, definitely. I mean, really, I think the biggest thing is that we're really trying to tell the story through the gameplay as much as possible, and then also really integrating the cinematics a lot more. It's another thing that I think you really saw with Starcraft and with Brood War, is that when the cinematic sequences came along, first of all, there was a lot more of them because there were hardly any in Diablo, and now what we're doing, we have around 24 minutes worth of cinematics in Diablo 2.
Wow.
And they all tie very directly into the storyline and what's happening in this world that you're running around and interacting in. So we think between that and the fact that the quests that we have in the game are very focused on interacting with the storyline and with what your character's doing, what I really hope is that when people are playing through it, that not only are they getting that great, just visceral gaming experience, but then they're also able to sit there and absorb this very deep and intense world and characters that we've created.
Well, so the game is pretty linear as far as the storyline goes, correct? You pretty much have to go from one to the next to the next to the end.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you don't have to do things in order. There's definitely different areas you can go into. But I think even in games that appear to be non-linear, there is always a linear line of story that you're following. It's just in how it's presented. We're definitely trying not to make it too dry where it's just A to B to C to D. But I think in any great entertainment event, it can't be just utterly freeform. You do have to have some thread that you're following that gets you from the beginning through the middle and then into the end. And so Diablo 2 definitely has a linear storyline that is being followed, but we try to present it in a very, open and wide format, so it's not just a dry read-through.
Well, one thing I really liked about Diablo was when I played the game through the second time, the quest didn't come up at the same time, or I didn't get the same quest, and I had to play a couple of times to get everything that I wanted. And in that form, of course, you could do whatever you want and not have to follow the story.
Right, and I think that we have the quests that you're going to be seeing in the game are big major quests. You get every time that you play it because they're all integral to the storyline. But with just the random generation in the world and all the little set pieces that can pop in and everything else that happens, there's just so much other stuff to do. The game's literally 6 to 7 times as large as the original. And you can really tell huge wilderness areas to explore and little caves to go find, little things to do that aren't tied in directly to the storyline, but definitely present within themselves, very fun little challenges for the players.
Is the interface the same or similar?
Yeah, it's really similar. I think in that case it was one of those if it's not broke, don't fix it type things. We have done some refinements to it. We've made it take up less of the screen so you get more gameplay screen and a few other things. We've tinkered with it a little bit and polished it, but really pretty much the same. The goal is still to be able to play the whole game with just the mouse, to give you the essential information right there. And though you can use the keyboard for shortcuts and more advanced players, I think one of the things that did make Diablo such a popular game is that people could just sit down and just by clicking and moving their guy around and clicking on a monster to attack it, you were able to get into the game very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. And then the game was then allowed to, by its level of play and its fun, factor was able to then, draw you in and keep you playing. So we definitely want to have that, maintain that very, very low level of entry for players.
One of the changes I noticed in the interface now is that there's been a stamina bar added.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We're never done tinkering with the game until it's on the shelf, and sometimes not even then. And one of the things we've been talking a lot about is the stamina bar, and it's kind of funny because very early in the game, which is where one of our test groups has been playing a lot of the first act, has been saying, well, gee, why do we even have the stamina bar? It never runs out. I don't feel like it's a bad when I'm running. It's not a big deal. And then you get to the later acts, and it becomes much more important when you're running and not running, because you can run out of stamina, and then all of a sudden, you've got all these monsters around you can't get away. So it's really kind of interesting to see how it plays out and where it works. And it is another element that we do have to balance with the game to make sure that at some point it doesn't become completely unnecessary, whether you care about your stamina bar, and then later on in the game it becomes where you're always out of it. So it is another element we have to look at and tinker with and balance. But it does add a really nice dimension later in the game where you didn't have to worry about it as much early on, but now that you've gotten the mechanics down of casting spells and attacking and different strategies, now there's this another strategic element that you've kind of had the whole game, but now has suddenly become much more important.
Now, Will, that's something that I've always been curious about with RPGs and where you have a character that has a big inventory. Will the amount of inventory you have on your back affect that? Because that guy carries a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's really funny. Inventory is always one of the big sticking points. I think a lot of people always wish there was more, because more is better.
Right.
And depending on how you set your inventory up, you can actually feel like there's hardly any room to carry anything. And some people feel like there's plenty of room, and some people think like, well, gee, you could make it even smaller. One of the reasons that we even have a limited inventory and we kind of have that Tetris effect on where you have to put things and what you carry,
right,
is because we want you to make choices in the game. We don't want you just to be able to carry every piece of armor you ever find or every single weapon that you find. We have done some things like adding for characters like a treasure chest or their stash where they can go and keep extra items that's in town so you don't have it on hand, but you could go back and get it. If you got into an area where the monsters took a lot of extra damage from fire, maybe you want to go back to town, open up that treasure chest you have, pull out your flaming sword, leave your other sword behind, and then go back and fight those guys.
I did that anyway in Diablo. I had these big piles, these grids of money and stuff laying everywhere all over town.
Right. We kind of wanted to give you a place to really put that stuff, as opposed to trusting that no one was going to come by. I never believed. It was tough for me to believe that word didn't come by and just take all that stuff that you left there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay, well,
Hey, Bill, the phone lines are absolutely packed. They're lit up. You got a lot of people here wanting to talk to you. You feel like taking a call or two?
Sure, let's take them.
All right, let's bring the first one in. Hey, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this?
Hi, this is Mike Messina.
Hi, Mike. The last name's Mike. We may be listened to by the CIA.
Okay.
But since you did give us a last name, this is a big-time pitcher with the Baltimore Orioles we're speaking to right now.
Yeah,
correct.
It is.
There you go. What's up? And that's not really Bill Roper either, by the way. That's just some guy we found in the alley.
Yeah, pretty much. Hey, guys, thanks for the warm dinner and the place to sleep.
No problem.
Okay, I can give you a million questions, but how would someone, say, very interested in doing, like, designing amazing games like Diablo 2 and things like that, get into an industry like that?
Bribes?
Yeah, bribes are always good. It's really a very good question, because I think it's one that's difficult to answer. It's tough to say, well, you just go to school and take your game design classes and get the grades.
I'm into 3D design, and I'd absolutely love to do like graphics and cinematics, as in like Starcraft, and I'm a very big fan of the Blizzard games.
Well, thanks. I mean, it's I think that's a big compliment. The biggest thing, there's a few things that we look for, and maybe that would be some help. One, be a game player, and it seems like that's kind of a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised at how many people apply who don't play games.
That's a big thing.
And, we are very, very much into hiring people who are game players, first and foremost. Everybody from our chairman to our receptionist is a game player, because we believe you can't make them unless you play them. Secondly, practice. Just practice makes perfect, is the old adage, and it's true. The vast majority of, for instance, programmers we hire are guys that while they were taking their programming classes, in college were writing games outside of class and had this real interest in it. Or artists that while they're taking those things are just constantly, trying new stuff and just love to draw. And, that and really look at what it is you want to do. Even the more our industry becomes specialized because of technology, you see where the specific skill sets required by our cinematic artists, for example, are not necessarily those of the ones that are required by our game artists. because they're dealing with very, very different types of 3D modeling.
Yeah, motion as opposed to gaming.
Right, exactly. Or, really, really high poly counts as opposed to how do I make this figure look really realistic and dynamic with only 250 polys, and low textures. It's a very different skill set and different tools actually at some points that get used.
So where does Mike need to send his resume, Bill?
Well, actually, if you go to our website, which is www.blizzard.com, and there's right on the front page is a His Jobs button, and in there as well, and this may help you, there's a document you can actually get that tells you kind of like what we look for from people who want to work here. It's kind of like the guide to getting a job at Blizzard. And, looking at that might help you out a lot, and there's also that's where we have resumes go.
There you go, and tell them the game guys sent you.
Yeah.
That's right, and then you go right to the top of the list.
Oh, yeah. All right, thanks for calling in.
All right, thank you.
Normally we take breaks in the show about every 20 minutes or so, but, we've got Bill on, and screw it. Let's go ahead and take a bunch more calls. What do you think?
All right, sounds good.
Blowing off the brakes, we're going to chow right through it. Hi, welcome to the game dive. Who's this?
I said Oni.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
We didn't hear you. It's because you're in Canada. You're far away. Hi, Oni.
Yeah, hello.
How you doing?
Fine.
Good. You got a question for Bill?
Yes, I got several questions.
You only get one, so pick a good one.
Oh, what from Christ?
I got 10 people waiting here in line, so knock
If it's
yourself
a
out.
hella good question, we might let you have two, but we got a big backup right now.
All right.
Go for it.
Wait. Am I?
Go for it. You're on now.
Oh. Okay. Bill.
Yes.
I can't hear you actually for a moment. Could you speak a little loud? I got
Sure, no problem. Go
Okay.
ahead with your question. We'll do the best we can to answer.
some vocal problems. Okay, my thing is,
Yeah.
I remember when soon after Diablo was released, a patch was released for it. This was Hellfire thing. Are anything from the Hellfire, any of the characters from number 1 going to be in number 2?
Yeah, actually, Hellfire was an expansion set. Not
It
expansion, was
put out by
authorized to add
Sierra.
on.
That's one of the reasons why I mentioned it. One of my more favorite software companies.
Mm-hmm.
Since they bought the company that owned Diablo.
Yeah, that would be Blizzard.
Yeah, that's
By coincidence, we're talking to Bill, who works for Blizzard. Wow. So anything from a Hellfire going to make it into Diablo 2?
Yeah, Hellfire was actually done by a company that was part of Sierra, and it was not an official expansion. Didn't really follow our storyline and stuff. You will see some characters from the first game, though, from Diablo, make some guest appearances, and in fact, the entire first act centers around the Rogue Monastery, which, of course, was one of the character classes you could play in the first game. The second game has 5 all-new character classes that you play, but we do still have the old character classes show up as NPCs, and you're going to see some familiar faces from the first game show up in different places.
My
in Diablo
second
2.
question,
Okay.
very quickly, is I normally like playing magic users in games like this. Is there any new expanded spells and stuff? Is the
Oh yeah, definitely. Each of the characters has 30.
have like the characters? Since what does this like take place like a year later or something after he defeated the great Diablo, and has the characters like aged and stuff like that, more mature?
So do we have some new spells for these folks?
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's like in true role-playing games. It's like, does this like take like a year later or something, or?
It actually happens. I don't know if I can define whether it's a year or it is some short amount of time. It's not decades later, but within a relatively short amount of time after the first game has occurred, there are all new character classes, and each of the character classes has 30 unique skills and spells to that class. So the sorceress, for example, which is kind of our elemental mage, has fire, lightning, and ice-based spells.
I remember from the first game that the players I talked to, they say that the mage was one of the weakest classes.
I think the mage, like I think you see in most role-playing games, certainly early on was the most difficult to get along with. But later became pretty powerful.
Okay, Oni, that was 2.
Okay, I gotta
All right.
keep going.
Thanks a lot for calling in, Oni.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Later, Oni.
We had Oni in here every week, and he comes in with interesting questions for all of us, usually having nothing whatsoever to do with what the hell we're talking about. I think it's all the Canadian beer that does that to him.
This is like a tradition now, because Ani calls, then he leaves, and then you impersonate him.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing that just to make sure people, I can do anything, actually. I could get Oni in all kinds
Has
of
anyone
trouble.
seen Oni and Paul in the same room together?
Oh, damn. I found out a lot.
Pretty interesting question. That's a good theory.
Yeah.
Can you answer some quick questions from the chat room before we go to our next caller, Bill?
Sure, no problem.
From Jib Waker, he wants to know if there's load time for levels in Diablo 2.
Actually, one of the big things that we've done, which I think helps out the flow of the game and to get you into that immersive story and world, is that we dynamically load levels before you get to them. So when you're going between areas within the game, there's really no discernible load time. It takes a half a second to a second to load a level.
Just want to have a lot of disk space free, I imagine.
We do a lot of swapping, so it's kind of all within that initial space required on the CD thing. Sorry, on the CD on the hard drive. And what the effect you really get is even when you're walking downstairs, going between levels. In the first game, you had this screen that came up and said loading level, and the line came up to a bar, and you suddenly remember, oh yeah, I'm playing a game. We didn't want to have that in Diablo 2, so it's actually a very, very cool effect when you walk between areas. If you go enter a cave, you get this like fade out and fade up that takes the place really within about a second. And you're in a whole new area, and there's just no break in the gameplay. The only time there's really going to be any kind of discernible break where you're loading levels is when you're going to a brand new area because you have to change CDs. But when you go between like Act 1 and Act 2, you'd have to swap the CDs out, and then we load up all the new artwork. But other than that, you're playing for hours and hours and hours and never having any discernible load times.
Well,
Sweet.
So those breaks will let you go to the bathroom and get some stuff. And
well, yeah,
refill the Cheetos bowl.
If you're a wimp, otherwise, you just. That's where I play, actually.
I have my official Diablo catheter right by my machine. Thank you very much.
So then, as long as you're not swapping CDs, do the monsters follow you between what would normally be level changes?
Yeah, pretty much the only if you leave like a building or caves, they'll stay behind. But if you're out in the wilderness, they're just going to follow you until you get back to town. But the town's still a safe area, like it was in the first game.
Yeah, that would be something, bringing the monsters back into town. I would get
that'd get ugly real quick.
The blacksmith would be pretty hacked off of it.
Two more quick ones from the chat room, and then we'll take another caller. From Justin, is there going to be a Starcraft 2?
Hey, that's a great question. We're not working on anything else right now.
After selling too many copies of Starcraft and Brood War and everything else, I imagine that's probably a slam dunk at some point.
Yeah, well, we have not, said that we're working on any Starcraft stuff. So, of course, anything that's unannounced that we're working on, I can't talk about, or else they kill me.
Of course.
So, but we are, plugging away at D2 and, of course, Warcraft 3, and we're very, very pleased with the reception of the Starcraft line. And actually, it's still going strong in Korea. I don't know if we have any...
I saw that, 2 million in Korea? How does that happen?
Yeah, we've sold over 1 million copies in Korea, and they make up at this point, there's 8 times as many Korean players on Battlenet as there are U.S.
Wow!
That's incredible. It's become a cultural phenomenon over there. In fact, I'm going over there for a big tournament in January, and am actually really excited to kind of experience it firsthand. So
you're gonna be like a god over there.
Well, I don't know about that, but I'm. I've been told I may not want to wear my Blizzard gear out in public for fear of getting sort of. It's like that little rock star thing. I have my 15 minutes of fame on the company's back, I guess. But, it's definitely the company. It's the big star, and not me. But
being attacked, people throwing underwear at you, that kind of thing.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and hopefully not boxers.
And one last one here from Metamorph. How many people are working on the dev team? Because they're all wondering why it's not out yet.
Yeah, there's actually a whole lot of people on the dev team. The core team up at Blizzard North is around 40 right now, a little over. The cinematic team just finished. They're putting the sound on the cinematics. Really, if I had to, say why isn't it out yet, the single biggest answer is that the game is immense. It's a huge game, and we're having to make sure and to kind of address what part of Oni's question was there actually earlier, where, in the first game, the sorcerer was very weak at the beginning. We're striving to make each of the character classes very balanced, not only against the game itself, but against each other. So we want you to have the same type of fun experience no matter what the character class you choose to play is. It was just kind of the same thing near the end of Starcraft. We took longer than we had originally envisioned taking with it because we had to balance the 3 races, and that is it was very difficult. Well, now we're in this gigantic RPG that has huge elements and portions of it that are randomly generated. It's just a gigantic amount of work for us to do. And then on top of that, the changes we're making to Battlenet, it's also a big technological challenge. So obviously, we want to get it done as soon as we can get it done, and that's what we're working towards. but I think in kind of what people have come to expect from Blizzard, we also won't send it out until it's right.
Of course, that's kind of the trademark of Blizzard, which I think somebody else in the business might catch on to that sometime, but I'm not holding our breath.
Well, as a gamer, I hope so, because I'd love to play fewer games and better games, because I can't play 700 games a year, but I could sure play 30 or 40, and if they were all as good as as some of the games that are out there, I mean, I'd play 30 Half-Lives. That was a great game.
Hey, we got some other questions here in the chat room I want to touch on real quick that you kind of touched on. People were in the chat room asking about release and beta. Can you shed any light on that?
Sure. The thing about beta, which I think we kind of addressed in our last press release, is that the beta comes along at kind of a natural point in the progress of the product. It's really tough to say, oh, well, we want to ship by this point, so that means we're going to be in beta by this time. And I think that's kind of a trap that we fell into in Starcraft, where we said, well, we want to ship by the end of the year, so we better be in beta in November. And by doing that, we really we went to beta too early. And that's why our beta period was so long, is because we were working hard to address all the beta issues and not fixing the rest of the game. And so that, it's tough to do both things at the same time. So what we're really trying to do is to not make that same mistake, if you would, in Diablo 2, by making sure that when the beta happens, it's because the game is at a solid enough point to where we're not trying to still code the game while we're trying to fix bugs and address all the great issues that come up during beta. And what that means is that the beta obviously is coming out much later than originally intended, but at the same time, the hope is that we will end up with a shorter beta period, and that we'll end up with the game actually coming out earlier than if we went to beta too soon.
And I know asking Blizzard for a release date is kind of ridiculous. I usually get when the game's done. But any ideas of when they can expect this to hit shelves?
Yeah, when the game's done.
Thank you.
No
Appreciate
problem.
that. Hey, let's go ahead and take another call. Hi, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this? It's Marcel Marceau. Thanks for calling again. We appreciate when you call in every week.
He's another regular.
Yes.
He's amazing. That walking into the wind thing gets me every time.
I know. How does he do it? Hey, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this?
This is Gail.
Hi, Gail. How are you doing?
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you were really talking to me because I'm listening. And okay, I'm Gail with DiabloII.net, and I have a whole bunch of questions. Bill addressed balance, and I would like to know which character has been the most difficult to balance, and which has not been used because they're thinking that they might like to have resources available if there were the possibility of an expansion pack. Notice how I cleverly worked in 3 questions.
That was really impressive. You need to get Tony lessons.
Boy, which one is more difficult? That's like impossible. It's like asking which race was hardest to balance in StarCraft. They all present different challenges that all crop up at different times. It's as you change one thing, or you change the way the monsters react, or you change the way mana regenerates, or if every little tweak you make then affects all the characters. And so suddenly, someone that worked really well, now that you've made tweaks that make the game better, you now have to go back and work on them, and that can suddenly become very hard. So that's a really tough one. I think that probably more than anything, in general, the melee classes are more difficult, only because you have to make sure that they can deal enough damage on an individual level as opposed to affecting big groups of monsters from a range. They have to step right up there, get knee deep in it, be able to take it and be able to dish it out, and balance that all against the fact that you've got sorceresses bringing down meteorites. So it's that one's, I would say, maybe in general just melee stuff, but there's probably no one character in itself that is the most difficult.
But you've salvaged him in some degrees, or his longevity, by reducing the friendly fire, right? So that's probably helped a lot as far as the elements of his survivability and his effectiveness.
Sure. I mean, and it's a constant thing with us. I mean, I think one of the secrets, if there really are any, to the successfulness of our games is that we iterate. We constantly play. We constantly make changes. We're always looking at how things are working. Is there a better way that it can work? Is this the most fun way that it can work? And so, things like, well, maybe friendly fire hurts, maybe it doesn't. Is there a way you can change that? What strategy does it add to the game? What effectiveness does it add to the character classes? And we'll do those kind of tweaks and balances up until the last minute. With the original, with Diablo, we made a couple of spell changes 3 days before it went gold.
Is it in or out
so
now?
We're not afraid to keep doing it until it ships, I guess.
Well, is it in or out now? Friendly fire.
I think right now, I think it's in. I think.
I like friendly fire.
It's tough. We got a new build today, and I haven't played it yet, so I can't honestly tell you because stuff changes from day to day.
Hey, Gail, where did you say you're with?
I'm with DiabloII.net. We're an internet gaming site. We're a fan site. We have about 12,000 visitors a day.
Okay, and you want to say that again so we give you a really solid...
Oh, yes, I'd love to. I'm with DiabloII.net. Internet. We're on the internet, www.diabloii.net.
Okay, Gail, thanks a lot for your call.
Thank you. Bye. Bye, Dale.
Bye, Gail.
I love giving people free plugs on the Game Dive. Hey, ready to take some more?
Sure.
All right, thanks a lot. Welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this? Hello? Oh, they got to pick up the phone and actually talk. That's always much nicer. Hi, who's this?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, this is Dan.
Hi, Dan. How you doing?
I want to. I was reading the internet about a guild that you and someone else can buy a guild. And Bill, I was just wondering how's that work?
Well, the concept for that is that you can get a bunch of players together, pool their money, and buy what we call a guild hall. And what that is that it's a specific place within the game where you can all congregate as your characters, trade items back and forth. You can have kind of a guild treasury there where you can store guild money or items for people. So let's say if we were all in a guild together and I'm playing a necromancer but I find a paladin-specific weapon, maybe as opposed to auctioning it or trading it online or selling it to the blacksmith, I could email the one of you that's playing a paladin and say, hey, I left this sword for you at the guild hall. Go pick it up. It's in the treasure chest. And also through that, we let people name their guilds. You have a 3-letter kind of demarcation of what your guild name is that's attached to your character. So in the chat room, people know that you're in guilds.
Okay.
What we really want to do is to basically give people kind of some in-game tools to identify themselves within the Diablo community.
Okay, and then just 2 more quick things. What was your favorite character in Diablo 1, and how much does the guild cost? And
that was
really
2.
worried about hacks.
That was 3.
Oh, well, sorry.
Oh, man. First of all, I wouldn't use your old Intel processor anymore for numbering questions.
My old what?
Intel processor.
Okay.
No, basically, my favorite character class in the first game was the rogue. I thought the rogue was really cool. I liked being able to detect. My favorite thing was getting telekinesis as a spell, detecting chests because she could see what chests were trapped.
Right.
And then I would lure. I'd find out where it was on higher levels when it usually had Nova or big nasty spells. I'd go over, get a bunch of monsters, race them through the room, hit around the corner, use telekinesis to open up the chest and kill them all.
Oh, that's great.
My favorite weird little thing, trick to do when I played Diablo.
I never thought of that.
So I really liked the rogue. She was a lot of fun. And I don't even remember the other questions that were asked because I was so focused on that strategy.
He asked very quickly about hacks.
Oh, hacks, yeah. Well, one of the things that we're doing when I'm talking about all the technology on the server side and the Battlenet side is we are going to client server for our character database, amongst a few other things that we're doing. And the goal with that is so people can't hack their characters up. Really, if people in a single-player experience want to hack and cheat and make their character this all-encompassing, super uber creature, that's fine. But we don't want you doing that in the multiplayer setting, because it really does things like ruin the economy and kind of ruin the gameplay for other people. If you want to mess around with your own gameplay, that's your choice, but we don't want you to influence other people. And that was a big thing that really came to us through feedback from the original game and players. So we're doing everything we possibly can to remove cheats and hacks from the Diablo 2 multiplayer experience.
Okay, thank you so much for your call.
Thanks a lot.
All right. Speaking of, the online community, Bill, of course, Battlenet became an integral part of Diablo. We had one question in the chat room asking if they'll have to re-register their names for Battlenet for Diablo 2, or if they get to keep their old ones.
I think as with every time we put a new game out, you have to go and fight for your name again. Because we set up new accounts and stuff for each of the games. So as far as I recall, yes, when you get Diablo 2, you'll go and you'll create your characters.
It's a tough world, guys.
Yeah, it's brutal out there.
Yeah, you're going to have to suck it up. As far as, again, the Battlenet experience and cheats and hacks and dealing with that aspect of things, is there any provision in place for any kind of CD key coding? Now, we've seen that on Starcraft. We saw it on Half-Life to help dissuade wares people and, pirating and the like. Is that somewhere where Blizzard's going to go?
Yeah, definitely. I think that, and when we talked about Korea earlier, having the CD keys is one thing that greatly helped us there because there are such fanatical players of a Battlenet. You have to have a CD key to play on Battlenet. So I think that really helped us, penetrate that market. And I think that we've continued that, and actually with Battlenet Edition, the Warcraft 2 Battlenet Edition we just came out with, we went to our new CD key format, which is actually 16-character alphanumeric as opposed to what it was before, so hopefully it's even harder for people to mess with. And certainly some of that's from a security standpoint for ourselves and also, the ever constant battle against piracy, but it also gives people a certain level of protection that no one else can log on with their name because we have unique user IDs. And people can't be up there, tarnishing their reputation and messing around with their accounts and things like that. One thing that kind of ties into that, and actually something I want to add to the last question we talked about, was that one of the reasons that people don't maintain their names, just for people who don't know, is that, Battlenet's free. We don't charge you anything, so we have no account information for you. There's no way for us to say, oh, well, sure, this guy was the same guy from over here, because every time you join, you create a new persona for yourself, like in Starcraft or Diablo, you just get a new account number. And we don't link those account numbers to each other. So you may have a different account setting for Diablo than you do for Starcraft, and we don't really have a way to link those. So that's kind of why that has to happen. I didn't want people just to think we were arbitrarily deciding to tell them to take a leap. So.
When you're getting it for free, there's only so much they can do on the other end to help you out. But Battlenet's been a huge success.
Yeah, Battlenet has been pretty amazing. I mean, we're currently, I believe we're up over, very close to or just over the 4 million mark on active users. And for us, active users are people who have logged in and played in the last 90 days.
Wow.
And we're easily serving well over 1 million games a day at this point. And it's been pretty amazing. We're pretty much a 24/7 service, especially now that Korea's online, because they're 17 hours ahead. So it's pretty much constantly up and running, and it's been a lot of work. We have some very dedicated people working very, very hard to maintain Battlenet's integrity and try to make the server better and better and the service better and better and all that. And it's just it's a monumental task and one that we've been doing a pretty good job on keeping up with. And I think that a lot of the changes you're going to see when Diablo 2 comes out are going to make that play experience even better.
There's a lot of questions I have about Battlenet, because it seems to me that that's a really revolutionary thing. Before Battlenet, your multiplayer experience was probably mostly LAN, and then, of course, modem to modem. And then eventually you had some internet play with Doom and Quake early on, but it was kind of really limited and difficult to do if you weren't real computer knowledgeable. And then Battlenet came along and made it so any moron could buy a copy of Diablo and go up and beat each other up on Battlenet. And it seems to me like Diablo really took off once Battlenet was up and running.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing that was so challenging about Diablo, and to a good extent with Diablo 2 as well, is that we're really launching two products at the same time. With Diablo, it came with Battlenet in the box. And so not only did we have to put this game out, this single-player game with this strong multiplayer component, it had to be the online component, and we had to make the online service at the same time. So that was a lot of work. Really, the idea for Battlenet came out during E3 of 96, I believe, when we were, the big thing then was online play and what's going to be happening and what's the right model for internet play. And that's where a lot of companies like, Engage, Inten, and Heat, and like all the big players at the time were announcing what their model was.
I mean, all those guys who are broke and gone now.
I didn't say that, but and the model that was pretty much what the industry was looking at was a pay-for-play model, to be able to up and play. And I think one of the strengths and benefits that Blizzard really derives from having gamers here all the time is that we look at that stuff and say, well, what would I as a gamer really want? And we say, well, God, imagine if you bought the game and for the price of admission, you had one button, one-click access, boom, you're up, you're playing, and here's everybody else who bought the game wants to play online, and you get to do it for free. And fortunately, I guess, or maybe unfortunately at the time, we didn't stop to figure out how we were going to do that or how much it was going to cost or what it was going to take. We just decided we'd try to work through all those logistics and dedicate ourselves to doing that. And I think it's definitely paid off, not only for us, but also for our consumers and our gamers.
And with the success of Battlenet, does that change the way you go into the thinking for a game? Like when you plan a new title now, do you think multiplayer first and single player second instead of the other way around?
I think that we've always thought multiplayer. I mean, even from when we were doing console stuff, when we did Rock and Roll Racing and we did Lost Vikings, I mean, those were all multiplayer games. You know, always 2 or 3 or 4 player games. And when we did Warcraft Orcs and Humans, it was, I thought the biggest innovation, that it had over Dune 2 was really the fact that it was 2-player. You could sit and play against a live opponent. And so we've always had this very strong dedication to multiple players in a game, and but at the same time we never want to sacrifice what our single-player game is. So certainly every time we sit down and design a game, multiplayer is big, right there on the list. What are we going to do? What's going to be the cool thing that's going to make this stand out as a multiplayer setting? What are we going to do that's going to get all those people that want to play together really jazzed up and excited about it? But at the same time, how do we still make it a very compelling single-player experience?
Well, Diablo 2 is still looking, generally similar to Diablo. You see, I'm getting back to Diablo 2 because that's kind of why we got you here today. What can you tell us about Diablo 2, the new stuff? I know you've gone to 3D acceleration now.
The game is still a 2D game, so I don't want to scare anybody off who doesn't have a 2D card, doesn't have a 3D card because you don't need it. But for people who do have a 3D card, we're very excited to be trying to put in some things like global lighting for spell effects. We have this thing that we call perspective mode, where we use the 3D card to kind of like on the console, the theory of parallaxing, where you've got different artwork. Even though it's 2D, you have it on different planes, and you move them at different speeds. So that what you get is this sense of visual depth that looks like a 3D game with gajillions of polygons.
Almost a scrolling effect for the background.
Right, exactly that kind of idea. So by doing a lot of that stuff and having the 3D card, take advantage of what it can give us, with the 3D card, we get some very, very cool lighting effects, some very neat things we can do. Having, at one point, there's some lava, and it's just kind of like flowing and ebbing in the background because we have it on a, set up on a big poly that's just kind of like fluctuating and waving, and it's really, really neat effects we're able to achieve with that, but still within the setting of our 2D world. A lot of other new things. I think when you first start the game, it's a little misleading because it is in a similar type of setting to Diablo, where you're in this kind of lush, rolling, what we think of as our Irish countryside. But pretty soon you see that stuff's very different. When you go into buildings, first of all, you can go into buildings, which is different. But when you go into them, the roofs come off, and you can see inside the buildings, just the multitude of places you can go, how huge the game is, the different places that you can get to. It's really, really amazing, all the differences, the character classes, the way that your skill and spell tree works. The huge amount of items you can get now. I think we figured out, and there are, with all the different new combinations of different item types, there are literally millions of different kinds of items you can get that are, all randomly generated. And I think that when people sit down and start playing it, it's going to look and feel very familiar, but, very, very soon into the gameplay, you realize that this is, the next logical progression for what Diablo was. Diablo, I always think of as was like a module, and Diablo 2 is the campaign. So it's really big and it's huge, and it's got some pretty amazing stuff in it.
Well, one of the other aspects of Diablo 2, and everyone be patient. We're going to try to get at least one more call in before top of the hour, so the phone lines are still smoking over here, but I want to make sure we talk about the game itself, so everyone can chill out. One thing you can do, instead of buying potions and healing, you can now convert your enemy's body parts into potions and items with a convert spell.
Yeah, we have the controversial convert skill.
That is gross, disgusting, and really, really cool.
Yeah, you can do things like and the constant things that go back and forth as well. Should all character classes be able to do it? Should some character classes? Should we even do it? But right now, the way that it works, like I only speak to the way things are here on November 3rd, is that if you, for instance, kill a monster and you find its heart, you can convert that into a healing potion.
Oh,
or
nice.
if you find the quills off of a big quill rat, you can convert those into arrows. Or if you find the spleen of some monster, you can convert it into a poison gas thing.
You take the eyeballs and peek around corners with them.
That's right. I don't remember what eyeball. The zombie eyes do become something. I don't remember what it is. And undead brains that become man. It's like there's like all these parts that you can kind of harvest and turn in through alchemy, turn into different things.
Oh, that's great.
It's just a different, as opposed to just popping off potions. It was like, well, let's give you this weird thing that has to happen. Now, the big argument against it really is that, well, it's just an extra mouse click, but it's definitely more of a flavor and feel thing. So it's one of those things, like so many aspects of the game, that is constantly up for debate and constantly up for tweaking and changing. And the way that Convert exactly works has changed more times than I can even count at this point. But that's the way it works right now, and it's actually, I personally think it's kind of cool.
I think it's really cool. Wow, just hacking them up and changing them over. Anything in particular you want to... Actually, let's go ahead and take off one more call.
Sure.
And we'll get back to this. Hey, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this?
This is Joe.
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Hey, doing good.
Good. You got a question for Bill?
Yeah, I've got a question for Bill.
Go for
Hi,
it.
Joe.
Okay. On Diablo 2 right now, we understand that when you have the settings to friendly, you wind up sharing experience with the people in your party. Is that right?
Friendly, it's a little different, but you do share experience with people in your party if you are in a group. Yes, if you've partied up.
And my question is, what's to stop people from sitting up at the in a city or somewhere else and letting the other people run around and get massive amounts of experience, and then parts of it going over to them? Therefore, they would be cheating.
Right. I guess that. I think, because I haven't played today's build. That's always the best part about interviews is I haven't played today, so it may have changed. But there is a proximity that you have to be within of each other to share that experience, as I recall.
Excellent.
So you couldn't have somebody just sit around and do nothing. They have to kind of be there taking part.
Right. That's right.
If you look at it this way, too, if they were just sitting in a pub and the other guy comes back, at least you could tell them about what happened and give them a little experience.
There you go, yeah.
We don't like that.
No,
it depends. I mean, there certainly may be a level of experience you gain sitting in a pub.
Yeah, I've experienced a lot of things in the pub that I've shared with my friends, despite their cries of of fear and remorse. But yeah, well, great question.
Okay, can I ask another?
Actually, no. We're gonna get someone else in here.
No problem.
All right, thanks for the call.
Thanks, Joe.
Hey, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this?
Hey, this is Lord Draconis.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Us in the chat room, we're wondering who's asking the questions here.
That would be you.
No, I mean who's asking questions to Bill?
Oh,
you there?
You mean me?
Yeah.
I'm Paul.
You're Paul?
And
okay.
across me, manning the chat room is Robert.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Robert.
I was wondering if there was going to be a Blizzard music CD coming out.
We've thought about that, and I think that's something that we'd like to do. For us, it's always about finding the right people to work with. We took a long time to put together a book deal, for instance, because we wanted to find partners to work with that were really interested in putting out the best books possible.
Okay.
And we felt we really got that with Pocket, with the deal we just put together with them. So I think that I certainly know that all of our music guys would love to see that happen. And being a musician and a music lover myself, I'd love to see the Blizzard stuff get out there. I think that all of our composers and musicians here are extremely talented, and I'd love to see them get that out to a broader audience. But I think the biggest thing for us would be finding the right people to do that with.
You think they'll be up for a Grammy? You know that game music is now eligible for Grammys.
It is. I think that we certainly would love to find out how to get the right people to hear that. So I'm sure we'll look into that process. But it's pretty exciting that we're being recognized by other industries for the work we're doing.
Well, speaking of music, and you can hang up for this question, somebody in the chat room said there was Zerg music in Fight Club.
Yep, that was me, yep.
That was you?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually... am
I good or what?
You are so good at this.
It isn't. And when we saw Fight Club, we went, hey, that's Zerg music.
It sounds exactly like it.
What it is that there's there's a series on, oh boy, I'm going to not remember the technical part of it, but on one of the sequencers that we use, there's a demo program that comes with it, and you can click it, and that's what they're using.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess when we had bought that, we happened to have bought that same synth kit and played that and went like, God, that's really cool. Wonder what patches they're using for that. And we just used the same patches. And so what you're hearing is not the same piece of music at all, but you're hearing it has all the same patches and kind of voicings and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's like, because we heard it, we went, oh, they must have dug the game. You know, talking about Big Fight Club, you know.
Yeah.
What a great reaction, Bill. I mean, we can tell that you're not with the marketing weasels or any of that part, because your reaction was, cool, they love the game, instead of, I'm going to sue them.
That's right, you know. I mean, I think that, you know, that's not, I'm not in the legal department. I'm not a lawyer. That's not what I do.
You're a game maker.
We're game makers first and foremost. Now, you know, if they really would have done that, I would like to think that we just would have called and said, like, so, you know, can we meet Ed Norton and Brad Pitt? You know,
credit in the video, man.
That's right. How about some DVDs? You know, we probably work some. I think that's more of what we'd be interested in. But you know, more than anything, I just get excited when I find people that I'm very surprised play our games. I remember seeing an interview where Robin Williams talked about how much he loved playing Diablo, and I was
wow,
that is so cool. You know, so it's I just that's what I really get off on.
Well, if you ever need a butt rock band to play any music for you, we can set you up with a good one.
All right, cool.
Yeah, our local butt rock band, Test Turbo and the Stayaways. Hey, thanks for the call.
Well, actually, I got two really quick ones.
No can do. We got to let Bill go. Sorry, we have to let him go. Thanks for the call. Hey, Bill, I know you got a jet here in a few minutes.
I do, unfortunately.
So give us your favorite bit of Diablo 2.
Boy, my favorite bit. You know, one of the things that just went in the game, because I just saw it yesterday for the first time, is the big finishes. What I'm referring to, at least, is the big finishes for quests. And one of the things that we were talking about when we were constantly polishing the game was that when you finished a quest, it was all cool and all, but we didn't really feel like there was this level of polish where it was like, wow, I know I finished the quest. And pretty much all of those got in yesterday. And they're really amazing. You finish, there's a quest that when you finish it, it's like just crazed light show and effects and spells firing. Just like, and you really know you're done. You know, and the thing that I think is so cool about that is that it's not like, I finished the quest. Ta-da! Congratulations. There's not. It's like, you finished the quest. You're the baddest, dude on the planet or whatever it is. And you get this really excited feeling where you're like, oh, this is so amazing. It just really helps you feel really good about the fact that you completed this portion of the game. It's like those little rewards you can give people. That's the way we always feel about cinematics. Hey, you finished this part of the game. Here's your cool reward. You get to kick back and watch this cool movie that's going to help you get more into the world. Or wow, you got this. And it's more than like, here's a cool item for your character, but it's like, here's this extra work we put into the game to give you some cool little eye candy or, ear candy or however we project it, where we want you to know that we think it's really cool that you finish, and we want you to think that it's really cool that you finish this part of the game.
That is so cool. It bugs me to just get the little pat in the butt. There you go. Thanks for playing. There's a version of the home game.
I can't remember. There was one. I can't remember which RPG it was, but there was one where you went through the whole game. You beat the big boss and said, "Congratulations, you have defeated, the Lord of Evil." Whatever it was.
Doom.
And you were done.
That's not as impressive as the end of Outpost.
But it's just so anticlimactic. It's like, oh, come on! I just invested, all these hours in here. Give me something good, and that's really the payoff. And I think that that's something that we always crave as gamers, and so we want to make sure that we give people who play our games.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Mr. Bill Roper. Rob, you got one more for him?
Bill, have you got time to fire off about 4 or 5 really quick answers before you go?
I am ready. Let's go.
Okay, from Taryn, will leveling be harder since there's no cap?
At higher levels, I would imagine they are, though we're still making sure that at the beginning of the game, you get to level fast so you can experience things like skills and things like that. But I would guess at the higher levels, yeah, it's going to get pretty tough.
From Incursion, any A3D support?
Yes, I believe that we don't directly support it, but we do have full surround and EAX and things like that, so you will get those effects, though as I recall, we don't directly support A3D.
For Kalar, is there going to be arena games in hardcore mode?
Well, Arena and Hardcore, another two huge areas that are constantly undergoing revision. I think that at some point, I would say you will see something like Arena games, though. Whether it's, again, don't think I can give you the exact format because every day it changes.
And how long, or where will you be when you hit level 25 as far as Act 1, 2, 3, or what city or town?
Who asked that question?
I don't even remember.
That's a tough one. I'm going to guess off the top of my head, probably maybe somewhere in Act 3. Right now you get to about level 12 when you finish the first act, so I haven't actually been able to take a character all the way through to that point yet without cheating, so I don't know, but I might guess maybe, somewhere in Act 3, but that's purely a guess, and it could change tomorrow.
A couple of good ones from Metamorph. Is there a team guarding against hackers full-time on Battlenet, and also... he had one more here. Well, mainly, is there a team guarding against hackers right now?
Yeah, we actually have people focused solely on hacking on our end right now. So we figure if we keep trying to do it and keep finding loopholes, we can keep covering them up. Yeah, that's a huge part of the reasons we're doing a lot of this stuff. So it's something that's very foremost in our minds, and we've got a lot of talented people both up at Blizzard North and down here in Irvine addressing that problem.
And one last one, also from Metamorph. Is it true that you hired some hackers to try to break the system?
Oh, we could never divulge if we actually. We don't know those people.
I can neither confirm nor deny that, Senator.
That's right. I'd have to kill myself.
I can tell you whether or not Battlenet is hacker-proof by sicking my 15-year-old son on you. He cheated his way through Diablo.
Yeah, that's true. No, we actually have worked with some people who have written some pretty cool stuff. That does things to our game we didn't expect it to do. And had a couple of guys out this summer interning and stuff. So, because really the big thing is I think it's a big challenge, and I think that a lot of that is we did give some people the opportunity to kind of come on the other side of the fence, and then of course we made sure they didn't leave any back doors on the way out. But
so they didn't leave, you mean?
That's right. But no, it's the biggest thing is that I think a lot of people in our industry came from that background. You talked, I think, any high-level programmer in any company, when they were 14 and 15 and 16, they were, let's say, playing a lot of backup copies of games and things like that, as opposed to maybe running out to the store and buying them. So, it's amazing. But, of course, now that we're in the industry, we're all again it. But,
of course, yeah.
But, I think that it's something that we all realize happens, and, more than a few of us have done in our checkered pasts, and it's something that, we really want to address, and we really try to address it for the most part, for the greater good, because the vast majority of people don't want that happening to interrupt their gameplay experience, so neither do we.
Yeah, if the chat room's any indication, Rob said his son would break in, and about 6 people said, "Your son sucks, cheater sucks."
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we get a lot of that on the forums, too, so those are the people we're trying to fix this stuff for.
Now, I know we're tight on time, Bill. I don't suppose, we've got the phone lines completely lit up here. You could stick around for just a bit longer and grab a call or two.
Let's take some phone calls. Sure.
You're a god, Bill! Your people love you! All right, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this?
Pat.
Hi, Pat. How you doing? You're one of the lucky people who Bill has decided to stick around and probably get fired or blow off whatever meeting he has
to
talk
good
to.
God.
So you made it. You won the lottery.
Holy crap.
Give us a question for Bill.
Yeah, I really have, it's a great question. Oh my God. Good Lord.
No pressure.
I'm such a big Diablo fan. I pre-ordered Diablo 2, months back. But what I really want to know is I know my friends, and we've been figuring out what we're going to do, and we were talking about, they like the PK. I'm not too big with that, but we were looking at the skill trees, on the internet, on Diablo2.net and stuff, and some of the higher level spells no one really knows about on the internet, like for Paladin, for example, Hand of God, and some of the other spells for the sorceress and stuff that no one knows about. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about more of the power spells. No. Doesn't that suck, Pat? But I'm not going to tell you. I think that maybe I guess the reason I'm being such a jerk is that I don't want to tell you the ending of the book. I think that a lot of those higher level spells we kind of want to have be a little bit of a mystery at this point still. We want to have people have something to look forward to finding out when they get the game, as opposed to saying, "Oh, yes, here's this thing that I've known about for 6 months. Won't this be exciting?" But I will say on the higher level spells that we start getting into some pretty serious damage area effect spells, and for your friends who are PKers, certainly when they get to those higher levels, those will become essential spells in their arsenal.
There you go. So thanks for making it in. You got lucky.
But thank you, Pat, and I appreciate the fact that you're a big Diablo fan, because I've had D2 pre-ordered for a long time too, and I wish it would show up.
Thanks for the call. Hey, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this?
This is Taboo.
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 Got a quick question for Bill?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just wondering, like in Diablo 1, there's a max level of 50.
Yes.
What's the max level in Diablo 2? And also, is it like a 5-point raise every time you level up, or what about that?
Yeah, right now, we actually have, there's no limit right now. If that means that there'll be a limit later, we'll see what happens. But I think right now there is there's no level limit. And I think the goal is to not have a level limit. Obviously, when you get to the higher and higher levels, we'd like to have somewhere to go, but that's going to be a lot of experience points you have to earn. And yeah, right now it's 5 points to put into your statistics every time you raise a level.
There you go. All right, thanks for the call. And he's gone. This is great, Bill. We really appreciate you sticking around and taking these calls.
Hey, no problem. It's just, the CEO and president. It's not, they can.
Hey, no big deal. So you probably won't mind then, everyone in the chat room is asking about the cow level. That's the big question.
There is no cow level. Let me go on record as saying there is no cow level.
That's his story, and he's sticking with it.
That's right.
Let's go ahead and crank in another call. Who's this? Hello? Goodbye.
Hello?
Hello? Oh, you just made it. Our finger was right on the reject button. Who's this?
This is Karen.
Hi, Karen.
Sorry about that. It's hard to tell when you're actually talking to me and when you're talking to other folks.
It's a mystery. What's your question for Bill?
Well, I had a question about when you die.
Don't we all have that question?
It is the eternal question. It's a lot of people have different beliefs about it, Karen. But you mean in the game?
In the game.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Say you choose, instead of restarting in town, you choose new games.
Mm-hmm.
Where does your corpse appear? Does it appear in town or?
Yeah, the idea right now, and let's say that for instance, if you were playing multiplayer and you died, and it was an area you couldn't get to, and you just couldn't get your body back, or your ISP dropped you, or you said new game, your body would reappear in town in that new game. Of course, the detriment to that is that you don't have anything that fell off your body.
Oh.
So you may want to really try to go back and get your body back, but if it was impossible, you still can get your body and everything that was on your body. And it would appear in town in the new game. At least that's the way it works today.
Great.
Who knows about tomorrow? Thanks for your call.
Thank you.
All right, we got a couple more coming in. Hi, welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this? Oh, another silent caller. Welcome to the Game Dive. Who's this? That's you. Bam, boom, bing. They're out of here. Who's this?
This is Gail from DiabloAI.net again.
Yeah, oh, wait, you get 2 calls?
Is that okay?
Lucky you.
It's a really good question.
If it hadn't been for the 2 people blowing us off before, you'd be toast.
Okay.
What's Gail?
Here's the question, Bill. If, in a theoretical sense of the word, you were going to do an expansion pack for Diablo II, or Diablo 2, like you did for Starcraft with Brood War, what would be an ideal timeline if you were going to do such a thing? And the second question is the beta U.S. only? People are hassling me to ask that question. But
if theoretically, well,
did I put in enough hypotheticals for you, Bill?
It would be a beta. Do you think it might be sometime in the near future?
I would say, I think that an ideal timeline for any expansion set is within a year of the game releasing. So, I don't know if that answers your question, but that's the answer you're getting.
And when will it release, Bill?
When
it's done.
Then it's done, that's right. And as far as the beta international, I think that we would probably start the beta in the U.S. only, but certainly at some point during the beta, we do need to have some international testing going on.
Is that to test the servers?
Yes.
Okay. So the 1,000 that are random, randomly drawn, and the Friends of Blizzard, and the journalists and all that.
Right.
Would that expand beyond that, or would that 1,000 include those internationals that were added?
No, I think that the initial 1,000 is probably going to be U.S. only.
Oh wow, that is such good news. Oh, thank you. Oh, I'm excited. Okay.
Okay,
So, thank
you get to send
so
us a
much.
box of money now, Gail.
Okay, brownies. They like brownies.
Okay, well, make sure you send us some, too.
Yeah, I keep hearing that. Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, Gail.
Bye.
Hey, Bill, thank you so much for sticking around and knocking down a few more calls.
Hey, no problem.
Are huge fans and call in like mad people.
It's been a pleasure. You guys have an awesome show, thriving, interactive audience. And,
hey,
what a blast!
We've been around for a year. I don't think anyone else can say that.
I'm pretty sure you outlasted Pat Sajak on his show.
Yeah, and we're much cooler than Pat.
And Chevy Chase.
Oh, that's true. Well, we don't like to discuss Chevy.
And my hairpiece is much better than Pat's. So, any parting words for our diehard fans out there?
I guess I would say, thanks a lot for, having the great questions and the interest in the game and in the company. The one promise that, we always make is that we're going to get you the best game that we can. So, look forward to it. I mean, that's definitely what we're doing. We're, right now, in fact, you probably can't hear the phone, but they're going crazy out in the hallway down here testing because they just found this new cool thing, and they're all, oh, come over here, look at my system, this is so cool. And for me, that's a really great sign when you've got guys that have been playing the game for as long as some of these guys have, just testing it, and there's a new thing in it they've never seen before, and they still get all excited and run around like crazy monkeys because they're just so happy that there's this new cool thing and it's this awesome effect or this great item or whatever it is, and it's really indicative of the I think the staying power and the real love that goes into the product.
Now take this in the spirit it's offered, Bill. What a bunch of gamers.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Bill Roper from Blizzard North. Or you're from Blizzard.
From Blizzard, but I would take that as a compliment from Blizzard North.
He's the Blizzard guy, bringing us Diablo 2. And for those of you who are screaming in the chat room saying, when is it going to be out? Release date? We told you once, we'll tell you again. This is Blizzard we're talking about. It'll be out when it's done.
That's right. And as soon as we can get it done, but when it's right.
Is there a kind of a target within the next year? I mean,
my lifetime is my hope, but I think I think we're definitely at the point where we're there's still technological issues and there's still a lot of polish issues, but we're not talking
dream universe.
We're not talking hundreds of years. Yeah, we're talking it's going to be.
If you have to adopt a young Korean kid to take your place when you get too old to finish, whatever's necessary.
That's right. Whatever it takes, it's going to get done.
Oh man,
sweet.
Thank you so much, Bill. We've got, the phone lines are still, screaming here. We got people in the room. We've got to have you back on the show.
Oh, yeah, we'd love to do that. Maybe we could have a little Diablo 2 launch interview.
Well,
that would be awesome.
That'd be a lot of fun.
What a great idea.
Hey.
In fact, we've been approaching our friends at One.net about that exact same idea. They are our sponsor.
Oh, yeah, we got to plug One.net.
And they've got more money than they know what to do with. Yeah. So that is exactly what we're trying to get together.
Well, that'd be great, man. This has been a lot of fun, and I look forward to doing it again.
All right. Thanks for being here, Bill.
Sure, no problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bill Roper of Diablo 2 fame. We'll be back in a couple minutes. We're going to take a break, our first break of the show, let our pipes cool down.
And we'll get some more coffee, man.
And we'll be back with more stuff. We'll be right back.
I'd love to know what you guys thought of this because, as we mentioned, Paul has found a bunch more vintage interviews that he did, including the developers of Age of Empires as well as Planescape Torment, also Jane Jensen, who created the Gabriel Knight series, Kevin Eastman of heavy metal fame, Valve, Tribes, it just goes on and on. So there's a lot of really cool stuff here. If you like these kind of interviews, please let me know down in the comments below. All right, guys, thanks for watching.